And here it is, the Weebill Lab. So super excited about this gimbal. I love how lightweight it is and how small it is, especially as a solo shooter, wedding videographer. So I actually scheduled a shoot later today with a couple. So I'm gonna put it through its paces to see if it can handle a real world shooting scenario. Oh, and the case already broke. Alright, so this is day 2 with the Zhiyun Tech Weebill Lab, and after taking it out for a shoot yesterday and experimenting with it a little bit more, I'm actually going to be sending it back. Now, that's not to say that this isn't a good gimbal, it just isn't a good one for my purposes, so I just want to quickly lay out some of the pros and cons, the things that I actually liked about this gimbal, and then also those things that convinced me that it just wasn't right for me. So let's start with what I liked about this gimbal. It was super nice to have the display screen on the gimbal so that you can actually see what mode you're in, and you can also go in and change settings without having to rely on an app on your phone. And the ability to lock controls on the gimbal was super nice, because obviously with all the buttons on the handle here, you're going to start running into bumping these buttons and changing modes and tilting when you don't want to. And I love how they have the threads built in so you can mount a monitor, or obviously the tripod grip up here, and then also another thread on the side here. So different options for mounting accessories. And then something that Zhiyun definitely got right with this gimbal was the ability to lock the axes. So that makes it super easy when you're balancing, and then also when you're transporting the gimbal. Alright, so moving on to the cons, and this was the big one for me and why I'm going to send it back, is I couldn't get it balanced when I had my Manfrotto quick release plate on there. And that's huge for me because I use these quick release plates to quickly change cameras and tripods and different systems on a wedding day. So I think the problem was when you added the quick release plate onto the plate that's already here, the height was too high, and then you couldn't lower this axis any lower, because I think then it would interfere with how they have this motor offset, is my guess. So, I mean, if you've gotten this to work with a quick release plate, definitely let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about that. But that was a huge flaw in my mind, and really why I'm going to be sending it back. All right, now the other issues I had are more petty, but things that would be nice if they'd address. So one thing is the joystick control here for controlling the panning and tilting and things. It just feels kind of cheap. And then the follow focus wheel, also, it just has a little too much physical resistance when you're spinning it. I wish that it would just be a little more smooth and have a little more give to it as it's spinning. And from my shoot yesterday, I was able to get some smooth shots, some things that I liked, but I also had some issues where when I added an ND filter onto my setup, it threw off the balance so much that the motor's disengaged and the gimbal just went limp, which is obviously not what we want to have happen. So that is why I'll be sending back my Weebill Lab, and I will be sticking with my Zhiyun Crane version 1 old school gimbal for the time being.